We are live. It is the Ango Show, March 12th, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. My name is Ango, and today we're going to bring Billy into the stream. Just quickly want to say thank you to everybody watching and supporting and all that good stuff. A lot of great things coming to the show. A lot of great things you guys should get excited for because it's going to be great. And now with that being said, we are going to bring in Billy. Shout out to Billy TKO joining us. The Ango Show is now live across Twitter and YouTube and TikTok and all that good stuff. Actually, I don't know if I'm live on Twitter, but I do know we're live on my channel, Billy's channel, and of course TikTok. So if you guys are watching on TikTok, shout out to you. We're hearing an echo because I forgot to turn down my phone, so my apologies for that. But we got the TikTok live thing going. It's looking good. Looks like YouTube is looking good. I think everybody is here in the chat. Hopefully everything is working well. Billy, last night was NXT Roadblock at the Theater of Madison Square Garden. What'd you think,
Beautiful.
man?
Number one, that venue, bro, was gorgeous. I don't know if I've ever seen an event in the theater itself, but my God, you want to talk about a beautiful venue? Just the way it was set up, it was like picture perfect. I don't know. I loved it. But overall, the event itself, amazing. Big fan of what NXT did last night, man. Really, really big fan.
Yeah, obviously NXT last night was really interesting for a variety of reasons. There was a lot of things going on in NXT, a lot of stories being pushed forward, a lot of things that I felt like WWE has kind of, in a weird way, it seems like NXT is kind of on the rebound with just in general the main event scene for the men. Now it's starting to feel a little bit better, and obviously we saw Moose and Obafemi, which was really cool. And then obviously, the big talking point from last night was Stephanie Vaquer shocked the world and beat Julia. I don't think anybody anticipated Stephanie winning both titles, and I definitely didn't expect it myself. I think it was a huge shock because of the fact that WWE is obviously, they're pushing both women at once. Yeah. Like, who knew what they were going to do? Billy, what was your reaction when we saw that?
Number one, I mean, massive props to Stephanie Vaquer. Obviously, Shawn Michaels and WWE themselves really see something in her to trust her to hold both championships at the same time. So, I mean, big props to them for pulling that trigger there and doing that. But also, I will say that with Julia dropping the title, it kind of begs the question, like, is this woman about to head up to the main roster? Which I do think is inevitable. I think WWE wants her on the main roster. Obviously, I don't think Julia, I know this is going to sound crazy. Obviously, I think she chose to go to NXT. I don't think she necessarily needed it. I really thought she could have been a immediate superstar on the main roster. But obviously want to incorporate the WWE fans who may not have heard of her. So you put her in NXT, you let her do some cool things there, which she has done. And obviously, when she won the title, no less than a month ago or 2 months ago, whatever it was, that was WWE kind of signaling like, hey, we're gonna really put emphasis on this women's division, and we're going to show you that we have the best women's division in pro wrestling, which I think we can all agree that NXT does certainly have that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one thing that's really interesting too, and I did make a TikTok on this. I did talk about this, but I feel like the real reason why WWE did this was because they're no longer in a situation where there's a shortage of women in the women's division in NXT. So there is that opportunity where, hey, we can kind of switch it up a little bit. Obviously, with TikTok, in my TikTok, I talked about Meiko Satomura, who is retiring. We haven't seen her for a while. Triple H and Shawn Michaels are clearly going to give her a send-off, which I think would be really nice to see. And then, of course, if you have Meiko versus Julia, you can have Julia win and beat Meiko Satomura, get called up to the main roster immediately after Stand and Deliver. Stephanie Vaquer now has an opportunity to do double duty. She could drop the North American Championship to maybe Jordynne Grace or Zarya, or you can have Jordynne Grace or Zarya go up for the Women's World Championship in NXT. And then Stephanie Vaquer will probably follow suit within NXT. So for me personally, I'm actually really excited about that. I obviously will see kind of what happens. I'm not necessarily sure if WWE knew what they had with Stephanie and Julia right away. And what I mean by that is obviously they knew they were bringing in some heavy hitters to NXT. I don't know if they knew exactly that, like, these women obviously didn't need NXT. I don't think they realized, like, they just found their two next major stars for their main roster beyond
And that's
Becky and
huge.
Charlotte.
That is huge. And we, Ango, we got to put emphasis on that. WWE for a long time, it felt like had gotten really stagnant with their women's division, especially up on the main roster. But it looks like now with these two women, they feel beyond important, brother. They feel like they are two massive stars just waiting to break out. And that's what I get from this. And I loved your take there on Julia potentially going up to the main roster and stuff after retiring Meiko Satomura and stuff. I love that. But I do think it is time for these two women to go up to the main roster eventually. Obviously, like we said, Stephanie Vaquer is going to be pulling double duty. I just think it is time for WWE to kind of usher in that new age of the women's division. I know we've had Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bailey. They've been like long-term people in the company, but now I think it's time to put emphasis on these new women. Obviously, we're seeing it with Bianca and Rhea. Julie and Stephanie, I think, will be the next to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know what is going on right now. It looks like we might be suffering a technical issue with the chat being pulled up, which is interesting because I feel like we didn't have that issue yesterday. So let me see what's going on over here.
For sure.
Because that's not pulling up, and that's very strange.
Uh-oh.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, nothing, man. How you doing, pal? How's the chat doing? How's everybody in the chat doing? You guys hanging out, enjoying this? I hope so, because we're here enjoying it, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I don't know what's going on with the chat, so let's figure that out really quick. I saw that we got a super chat, so that's why I want to...
You know who it was from.
Polino channel, baby.
You know it, baby. Come on. You know who that's from.
Yeah, so...
I really just putting on.
Oh, I think I see what's going on. I don't think I activated the chat.
No,
so
bro.
It's okay. I fixed it. We do get the alert that comes up on here that says like new donation or whatever. I like that. That's fire. So I need to fix it though, so the name shows up in there. I'm still working on that, so my apologies, everybody. So really quick, David Primero dropped the super chat and Tolino Channel dropped the super chat. I'm going to get to them both. It allows me to bring up David's. Tolino Channel, it's not letting me pull it up because it wasn't active, but I will read it in a second. David Primero dropped $4.99. He says, seems like Jada Parker is next for the North American title. I think it's better for Stephanie to vacate the NA title, just like they did with Keith Lee to protect her from a loss. So that's a possibility, right? And obviously for the North American Championship, it will, whether it gets vacated or not, I don't know. I like the idea of them doing double duty with the North American Championship.
So do I.
Because especially with Stephanie Vaquer, if she drops it early in the night, then it might make you believe that she would drop it in the main event. But there's always a way to kind of go about it. However, I will say this. If you want to do it the cleanest way, 100% Stephanie Vaquer just vacates the North American Championship. You got the visual of her holding two belts. You keep it going, and then for Stand and Deliver, do a ladder match. I'm totally cool with that. Jada Parker clearly getting looked at, clearly growing within the WWE universe, clearly getting over. So you have her, you have Lola Vice. There's so many different talented women there. I think you can make an argument for many people on that roster to become North American champion or women's world champion. And quite frankly, too, Billy, I'll let you kind of chime in. But I just think at this stage of the game, it's like Stephanie and Julia are main roster bound regardless. And maybe this could be the opportunity where Stephanie also loses at Stand and Deliver. And they just, hey, let's move over. Let's have Jordynne Grace carry it for 6 months. And then we'll have Stephanie and Julia go to the main roster. There's other people getting called up to the main roster. And then obviously you don't want to hurt NXT. So what you do in that particular situation is simply have Jordynne Grace carry the belt for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's numerous things that NXT can do, which, by the way, guys, is not a bad thing at all. I think WWE having this opportunity here is really special because it doesn't happen often, right? So what Angle just said, with Jordan Grace potentially carrying the title and having Stephanie lose it at Stand and Deliver is a very, very easy possibility. When it comes to her vacating the title, I'm not sure if me personally I want to see that. I know they did it with Keith Lee a long time ago when he won the NXT title and stuff like that. I just think that the double duty situation here works a little bit better because it's showing the work that this woman has put in, especially for NXT, which she has done a phenomenal job. But I do ultimately think, agreeing with Engo here, that I think it is one of those position or one of those times where you kind of get lucky and you can pull both of these women up at the exact same time and let them go off to the main roster. Let Stephanie do something on SmackDown. Let Julia do something on Raw, or have them both on Raw, both on SmackDown, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I just think you're in a really special place here. And like Ango said a moment ago, you have Jordan Grace carry that championship for 6 months, and then you continuously build new stars. Again, it's not often that these things can happen. And it's really cool and special when it does. That means WWE is, I mean, let's be real here, they're utilizing the talent in the best way possible. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really needs to be said here, honestly, is the fact that I just don't think I don't think there's really a wrong answer of how they go about it. I think the one thing is they just can't do a tournament. I don't want to see a tournament play out in NXT.
Yeah, no.
I'm tired of tournaments. I know AEW just announced another tournament for the International Championship.
Yeah, for
WWE just did it with Raw and SmackDown for the mid card titles. But I don't want to see a tournament. I think that's the only wrong answer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think you're in a position right now where you necessarily need a tournament. I think a tournament here would make no sense. There are numerous contenders that could go up and face Stephanie Vakir for this championship. But, we talked about Jada Parker there for a minute. We've also talked about Fallon Henley being another person who obviously lost the title and stuff. So, like, there are numerous names that you could have face Stephanie in that mid-card role at Stand and Deliver. I don't think you need a tournament to do that.
Yeah,
You can just have a number one contenders championship or number one contender match.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll see too, because obviously when we go into Stand and Deliver, this is their night, man. This is the night that NXT shines. I'll say,
sure.
If you guys want clear proof that NXT is on the up and up, I mean, just wait for Stand and Deliver, because I think we've already seen the proof. I think the proof is in the numbers, the attendance, the ticket sales, everything across the board just seems to be going up for NXT. But if you look at it from a perspective of like some of those naysayers, some of those people who just don't believe in it, I think Stand and Deliver is going to be the thing that really does it. So I'm excited about that. I'm very curious to see what happens, and obviously I'll get excited more as time goes by. Shout out to David Primero for the super chat. Like I said, I couldn't bring up Tolino Channel's super chat, so I do apologize for that, Tolino. I did fix it though moving forward. So Stephanie is over, massive, waiting for her versus Rhea in the future. Also, WWE is finding talents that suit Saints. Yeah, so this is two great points. One, Stephanie versus Rhea will be a great match. Julia versus Rhea will be a great match. Stephanie versus Bianca will be a great match. Stephanie versus Becky will be a great match. When they call up Stephanie and Julia, the main roster is going to be sick. And then you can't forget about, Asuka and Io Sky being there. And maybe, maybe people don't realize it, but Io Sky could walk out of WrestleMania still as World Heavyweight Champion. Well, not World Heavyweight Championship, World Women's Champion. And then you can obviously have, Julia versus Io, right? And imagine if you get Julia versus Io. And hey, listen, guys, I'm going to say this, WWE international shows, right? We know that Tokyo, Japan has been rumored for a WWE PLE. Just imagine what it could be if WWE brought in Julia and it's Julia versus Io Sky for the Women's World Championship on the main roster in Japan on an international PLE. I mean, crazy. We're going to get spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you talk about that position, but there's also the mid card in the Intercontinental Championship, so you can bring Stephanie in, and you can, once Asuka comes back, you can do something with Stephanie and Asuka. You can do something with Stephanie and Kyrie. You can do something with Stephanie and Lyra. Like, there's numerous names and numerous positions that you can go here, and I think she is going to be such a big deal, especially helping build that women's mid-card division on the main roster that obviously has been needed. You know, they're putting focus on it. Not everything has been great and not everybody has fully enjoyed it. But I think once we get into that realm of like, okay, we got Stephanie, we got Julia, you got Bianca, you got Rhea, you got Asuka, you got Kyrie, all these different names. I think that's when you're going to start to see that kind of hone in a little bit more. And then again, you also have the SmackDown's women's mid-card championship. So you never know what can happen over there. You know, there's numerous things. But yeah, she is a massive, massive star. I can't wait. I can't wait, man.
I agree. I agree. Shout out to Tolino Channel for that super chat. Phil coming in with a super chat. He says, Stephanie and Julia are stars. Jordan should be in that conversation. Jada is on her way up the North American title convo, and there are other women stepping up as well. WWE has struck gold with their women. Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, just so you guys know, Phil will be joining us on Wednesdays. Obviously, with the new change to the stream setup and stuff, it's just going to take a little bit of time for me to like actually be able to get him in. So that's the reason why, just so you guys are aware. That's why Phil isn't here. But shout out to Phil for dropping the super chat. All great points. WWE has struck gold with their women. I mean, look, like I don't want this to be an AEW versus WWE thing, but when people often think that I'm hating on AEW's way of introducing talent, look at how WWE introduced Stephanie, Julia, and Ethan Page. Then look at the way AEW has introduced Camille or some of those other talents where they bring them in and then they're just like not seen for a while, right? WWE knew, hey, we're bringing somebody in. We're going to have plans with them. We're going to push them. We're going to put them on TV every single week. We're going to build them up. And then you get a main event like that at Roadblock. And then, of course, they're over. The crowd is going crazy. And then the crowd is excited because, wow, we just got a title change when we didn't expect it. And then it's even funnier, too, Billy. We had this conversation. I said, do you think WWE will do any more title changes this week? Because we saw.
I know.
Right?
We just talked about this.
Literally. And then WWE, because I think we both agreed, like, okay, maybe it's a no DQ or like a DQ or like a non-finish.
Right, because we were in a very comfy position. At least that's what it felt like.
Yeah, we got comfortable real quick, Billy. And then next thing you know, look what happened, man. WWE just kind of said, fuck it. We're giving you a big title change. So yeah, Phil, Stephanie and Julia are stars. Jordan is absolutely a star. Jordan, see, the thing about Jordan is she's not even going to be in NXT for that long. Like,
no, we talk about a conversation with only 6 months. Like, that's how long it probably lasts, is a solid 6 months. We're talking SummerSlam time, Jordan's up. I fully believe that. Again, another person who doesn't necessarily need NXT, but is doing it to obviously get more introduced to the WWE crowd, that lifestyle, how it's different from TNA. I think that's kind of why you have people like this going to NXT when they don't necessarily need to be there.
Let me ask you, Billy. 4 horsewomen, Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, Sasha. Obviously, great crop of talent. They all got called up. They all became good stars for WWE. Obviously, there's no denying that. But compare that era of NXT to this era of NXT. Which one would you say is better, women's roster wise?
This is gonna be a hot take. Yeah. But right now is obviously better.
Yeah.
I think when you look at like the bigger picture here, you had those 4 women. Right now, we're having a discussion that isn't based around just 4 women. Right? For a long time, that was like a stigma that WWE had on them, is they had their couple great talent and then they had talent, right? Now it feels like they have great talent across the board. I mean, we're talking about Jada Parker. We're talking about Jordan Grace. We're talking about Fallon Henley. We're talking about Julia. We're talking about Stephanie Vakir. And if you want to get into the men, you're talking about Ethan Page. You're talking about Ricky Starks. You're talking about Obafemi. Like, there are numerous people across the board that feel important to these shows. That's very rare. And that's why I think this version of NXT right now is probably much better than even what it was in 2019 and 2020, which a lot of people were a huge fan of. A lot of people love that black and gold era with all the independent talent and stuff like that. WWE is giving you a mix, which me and Ego have talked about numerous times. They're giving you a mix of talent, which, you know, whether it be from the NIL, whether it be from the indies, no matter where you come from, you're welcome here. And we're going to do our best to make you a star as long as you're willing to do so in your own right. Dude, who isn't going to be a fan of that? Who isn't going to watch this show and be like, "Oh yeah, like I enjoy this." And it's really funny that the stigma around NXT, especially ever since it changed to 2.0 and then back to this, the stigma was always, "Oh, NXT, it's literally the C-level show." I think when people would watch, and if they tried to watch NXT, again, this is me speaking, who didn't watch NXT for a long time, I think your mind would change. This is a very good show. It is a mover. It is important all the way around. I love NXT, man.
I cannot believe I'm saying this, but this is like, dude, this is how I feel. This is genuinely what I think. If you watch a show from beginning to end, as far as the most consistent product in professional wrestling,
Yep.
and it has a mix of everything to satisfy every kind of viewer, NXT is that product. I think any content creator who decides not to admit that is simply doing it because NXT doesn't draw the most amount of viewership for YouTubers and Twitter and content creators. But I do think from top to bottom, NXT is the most consistent show that satisfies all kinds of viewers. Now, obviously, it's subjective as to what you enjoy and don't enjoy. But if you're looking at it from a perspective of what it actually offers and what it means, to have some of that black and gold, some of that developmental, some of that main roster feel, some of that super indie stuff. I mean, bro, look at Javon Evans and Ethan Page as a perfect example. So NXT does a lot to satisfy people. And really going back to the super chat, I think a lot of that is actually one thing that NXT does better than every show, including Raw and SmackDown, including Dynamite and Collision, and including TNA, and including every other company, is that their women are the stars holding it down. They are the stars holding it down. And I'm sorry to say this, but in WWE, we have this hot period, but it's not because the women are the focal point. Yes, the women are in great storylines, but what is the storyline in WWE? It's The Rock, John Cena, and Cody. We have not had that level of storytelling in that company on those shows for the women. They have not.
Can I just butt in with you for a second?
Yeah.
I want to say this. When you talk about, because one of the big highlighting things over the last week or a couple days, whatever it's been, is that WWE is going to bring back the Evolution pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I think WWE would be very, very wrong and I do think they will, but I think they would be ridiculously wrong to not put the NXT women on this show, because the NXT women have been so important to, like, when it comes down to good storytelling and stuff like that. I get it. The main roster is like where all the big stories happen and whatnot, but WWE would be messing up huge to not put people like Stephanie, Julia, Jordan Grace, Jada Parker, all these people on this show. It would be absurd, because NXT right now, where we stand, has the best women's division in pro wrestling. It's hands down. They're main eventing in the Madison Square Garden Theater. They're amazing. Stephanie Vakir, we didn't hear about up until a year ago, unless you're like a diehard hardcore fan, and you knew the AEW situation, and then you have Julia coming over from Japan. It's like, the fact that we're even having this discussion about WWE is insane to me.
Yeah, and I do want to switch gears a little bit too, to Lino Channel. So shout out to Phil for the super chat. Lino Channel dropped the super chat for 100 rupees. He says Moose proved all his doubters wrong. Also good to see Undertaker's Oba segment. The crowd was electric. If Roadblock is hot, then stand and deliver is ... Shout out to Dom Griff as well in the TikTok chat. He says Oba Femi versus Moose was insane. Guys, this is what it's all about, though, because now you have this partnership with TNA, where there was a time where, obviously, for the main event scene for Oba, until you get back to Oba and Trick, which obviously Trick's been kind of doing this character development stuff, you needed a strong feud for Oba. And shout out to TNA and NXT figuring it out, because it played across both shows. And then you get the match, and yeah, like, I think Moose proved the doubters wrong when it comes to having a match with Oba Femi, which stylistically I thought was going to be very difficult to see how they pull it off.
Yeah.
They pulled off not only a banger of a match, and not only that, but Moose looked really good despite losing. And one thing too that was really insane, Oba Femi putting Moose over his shoulders and throwing him
Yeah.
outside of the ring is insane. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't care what nobody says. That spot, what the hell? What the hell? I've never seen no shit like that, me personally. I don't know if anybody else has. Those are two big gentlemen
Yeah.
launching each other outside of the ring at that. And I mean, lifting, that's a deadlift, bro. That's a deadlift. Amazing.
Incredible stuff there, man. It was really, really nice to see that. And really, just one thing I kind of wanted to point out too. Sorry, I'm just fixing my microphone. One thing that I wanted to point out too was with Moose losing, he's still X Division champion. And then what's really cool is like he's not impacted by this. He got the opportunity to go in front of the NXT crowd. The crowd loved this match. TNA doesn't look bad at all, especially considering the Hardys defended the tag titles and successfully retained. So that was obviously something. Okay, are we still live? Because it says my OBS disconnected.
I hope so.
Okay, we are still live. Okay, that was really weird. OBS said it had completely disconnected, so that was strange. So sorry about that, guys, if it interrupted. But yeah, like look at TNA, like they benefit from this partnership. WWE benefits from this partnership, and then WWE also realizing at the same time too, hey, we got to make sure people understand Obafemi is the real deal. So not only was Obafemi in the crowd at Raw, but then he goes and has a great match with Moose while looking great against Moose. This was one of his best performances, right, for Obafemi. But then at the same time, too, they were able to accomplish a TNA star, a TNA challenger, looking great, even in defeat. So yeah, Moose did prove all his doubters wrong. And I texted you this, Billy. I said the Undertaker Oba segment was like John Cena and Undertaker segment from backstage. And for me, I think that's huge because you gotta have that. You gotta have the guys that came before.
Being endorsed.
Yeah,
he's being endorsed. He's being endorsed by WWE's. Let's be real here. Biggest superstar probably of all time.
Yeah.
Right. When you talk about somebody who was a leader all across the board, getting that endorsement from the Undertaker, and then them putting it on TV. It's one thing to get it backstage. It's another thing to get it on TV. Kind of like you had texted me. You had said, you know, it reminds me of Cena and Taker. Obviously, or Taker did that backstage, and then they did it on TV to recreate it. My guess would be the same thing happened here. Dude, you love to see it. And I think we all knew kind of from the get up, even when we talk about like the men's main event scene, Obafemi, dude, it's like, it's hard to believe that anybody's going to beat this guy. That's a special thing to come by too in itself, right?
Yeah.
Having a talent like that where you're like, all right, we got to find somebody believable enough to beat this gentleman. That is crazy to even talk about because let's be real here. NXT has had a good main event scene. It hasn't been the greatest, but it's good. And it's good enough to put on TV and it's good enough to get people invested. So to have a moment with Oba like this and knowing like this guy, like even with all this great talent, there's still nobody that we can necessarily say like, oh yeah, he could beat him. It's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree. And I just want to shout out the guys in TikTok because they are liking the stream. There's over 570 likes. So maybe we could get, I think yesterday we had 3,000 likes on TikTok. Maybe we can get to 3,000 today if you guys are watching on TikTok. Dom Griff made a really good point on the TikTok chat as well. He says bright future for WWE's future. And really that's what it is. You know, WWE's future is looking really bright. And it's exciting to see that because for a very long time, that wasn't necessarily the case. For a long time, it seemed like, okay, yeah, Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes, you know, Tony D'Angelo, and like there's some good guys, Grayson Waller. Yeah. But now you're starting to see even more and more talent look great. And a perfect example of this too is like, you know, okay, for example, you watch The Culling, which is Ty Dillinger, aka Sean Spears' faction, right? Yep. Izzy Dame, Nico Vance, Ben Buchanan, aka Brooks Jensen. Those three guys under the new North American champion, they're gonna look great. They're gonna get an opportunity. They're gonna look good. Eventually, there's things that you can do. Maybe Nico Vance and Brooks Jensen go off as a tag team, right? As much as I don't like them, I can admit that they're a fun tag team to watch. Hank and Tank, right? Like there is a lot of
Yep.
people in WWE NXT, and then obviously you got Fraxium, and then you got Tony D'Angelo, and you got some of these other people. But you just have such a variety of great talent there, and it's really cool to see.
Agreed.
Shout out to
Agreed.
Tolino Channel for the super chat. Brian McHattie coming through with a $5 super chat. Hey, look, booking international Japanese stars in good stories and logical booking without it looking like a fetish fest. LOL. Obviously, we saw Brian's super chat yesterday, and he's coming back again. Brian, why you got to make my life so hard, man?
Bro, it's difficult. We can't talk about that here.
Yeah, you know, Brian, I see what you're doing. And obviously, you know exactly what you're doing. But here's what I will say. And actually, let me do something really quick. This is going to be maybe no, never mind. I'm not gonna play with it. But dude, yeah, look, NXT. This is what I will say. NXT WWE has a plethora of international stars. They do. WWE is clearly doing international shows. And so WWE, all they simply have to do is just good stories and logical booking like they do without the international
it's very
stars.
Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very simple.
And by the way, one thing I want to point out, like, especially if I'm right about Meiko Satomura versus Julia at NXT Stand and Deliver, not only is that going to be an amazing match, but there is that proper send off that Meiko Satomura gets, which from the time that she was in WCW to the time, obviously in WWE, NXT, and NXT UK, there is WWE has kind of been flexible with her. They don't use her, but they have her under contract. Hey, you could go do some indies and stuff and, you know, whatever. She came back to the States. She was at Roadblock. Obviously, they're preparing for her send-off, which is cool. If you do that with her and Julia, for example, and Julia gets put over, you are doing something so big for the future of your future, right? You are preparing the way for the future of your company. And the reason why it works is because Meiko Satomura is a legend. And Meiko Satomura doesn't need to be on programming all the time. It's the exclusion, right? She is, because she's reached that status as the ultimate legend, she doesn't need to be on NXT television all the time. Now, what I would do is next week on NXT, Meiko Satomura should come out and she should literally just call out Julia.
I agree.
Like, I would just call her out.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, just right away.
Right away, start building that retirement match and stuff like that. Thank you, Brian McHattie, for the super chat. Andre Benson joining in with $2. He says they briefly tease Io and Julia in the Rumble. They did. And again, WWE doesn't do things without, you know,
without purpose.
Yeah.
Everything has a purpose. That's one thing to remember about WWE, and that's just another example. And I think you guys will find that out very, very soon when she's up on the main roster and she's doing something with Io. And you guys come back to this stream, you guys will be like, oh my God, they talked about it. We talked about it. The chat talked about it. We all knew this was going to happen. We're the smartest community in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really cool to see.
Like we pay attention to pro wrestling.
Yeah. What I was going to say, Io and Julia is not only a big match, but imagine you got Kairi Sane there, you got Asuka, Damage Control are baby faces.
Yep, I hear you.
You got Dakota Kai potentially leaving Damage Control and turning heel. You never know. There's so many stories they can go with just those four women. And that's not including Liv Morgan and Raquel and Rhea and Bianca and Bayley and all those other people. So now WWE, so now there's a lot of fresh things that you can just do just based off of calling Julia up, which is really cool.
Yep. Agreed. Makes it more interesting.
So yeah, obviously that's huge. And shout out to Andre Benson for the super chat. We did get a couple other super chats, and for some reason it's not allowing me to pull them up. So I do apologize for that, guys. I think you guys are just sending so many messages in the chat so fast that they kind of just disappear for me to pull them up. But I do want to read Tolino Channel's 100 rupee super chat. He says, imagine NXT creating Tony Khan's similar character on TV and screwing Ricky Saints and Ricky getting the final laugh. They have a final boss baby suits it best. What do you think, Billy?
Hold on. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I think I think right now you probably will have a storyline like that, especially because of what they've been teasing with Ava. I don't know if it'll be to that extent, but I think it'll be something of like in that realm, right? And I think Saints overall is going to be somebody that you see at the top of the card. And I think, again, you could tell a very simple story of adversity. It's not hard. Saints has to go through the adversity. And I think this is a great opportunity to do so. You can have him do something with Ava. Obviously, he's been going up to her recently on TV, being like, oh man, everybody's crazy here. Like, what the hell's going on here? And then you have Ethan Page walking up to him and being like, "Oh yeah, we don't like outsiders." That's hilarious.
I like the fact, by the way, just a quick point to that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they did do something with Ricky and Ethan, and like they're kind of potentially going that route. It seems like.
Yeah.
So like, anyways, you could continue, but I just like the fact that like they're not ignoring. Like Ethan Page even said, like, "Oh, we don't like outsiders here in NXT," and it's ironic because Ethan Page came from the same place as Ricky.
Outsider.
He's the outsider,
Right.
yeah. But anyways, continue.
But yeah, no, I mean, what I'm saying here is like, yeah, I do see a world where Saints has to overcome some adversity because I think we can all agree that this is a guy that we want to see at the top of the mountain. They did it with Ethan Page, right? They put him at the top of the mountain. I think they'll do the same thing with Saints. But I do think the difference here is Saints will be a little bit more of in a position to where as soon as this guy drops the championship, he will be up on the main roster doing stuff because again, just kind of feel like they want that guy for WrestleMania next year. So many different things and different variables that play into that factor. But I ultimately think that, yeah, I don't hate Tolino Channel's super chat here.
Yeah, and as far as Ava goes, it's I mean if they want to kind of do that and turn her more into a character, I'm cool with it. Obviously, that's kind of been the rumor and the thing that we spoke about before. So if you want to do it, that's fine. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm hoping Ricky has a massive match for Stand and Deliver. I would love for it to be Ricky versus Ethan Page. Ethan loses, gets called up to the main roster, goes to SmackDown as part of the U.S. title picture. I would love to see Ricky hold it down just for a couple more months after that.
For sure.
And after watching Ethan Page versus Javon Evans last night, I'm very geeked about Ethan Page's future in WWE. He kind of shocked me a little bit because I always knew Ethan Page was a great talker and a great performer and a great in-ring wrestler. But
yeah, but nobody really knew to what extent.
But it's not just that. He took a young Javon Evans who is the least experienced. I mean, as far as like, he's been doing his indie wrestling stuff before, but it's not, he's young. He's like 19, 20 years old. And they both went out there and really looked good. And it was like a nice match with great spots and weapons and everything, but also at the same time too, Billy, it was really dope to see them kind of like sell me on like, oh, this guy might win. Oh, wait, this guy might win. Good babyface heel. Like, yeah, very cool stuff. Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Andre Benson with $5. He says, can't remember the time. Looking forward to an NXT show like last night. It's the same feeling I had waiting for that epic steel cage match for Raw. Fire show. I was excited to watch NXT last night. Obviously, just great card.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to be that good. I knew the matches and the build and stuff, but I think it was from last week. You remember how I said, I was like, oh man, like I just wasn't feeling last week's show.
Yeah.
I was not under the expectation that they were going to do what they did last night. I mean, that card all the way around was outstanding.
I think the reason for that too, by the way, is because this was a PLE on free TV. And it actually, like, I think when those kind of specials happen, we kind of talked about it, right? Like, we don't really expect like big finishes here because of Stand and Deliver. And it's kind of like Elimination Chamber when you have, all those things happen. And then the Raw after and the SmackDown after where they're doing like title changes and stuff. You don't think like WWE is going to treat this like an actual PLE because it is on free TV, but it actually felt like a PLE. It felt like an NXT PLE on Peacock, which was really cool. And I think it woke me the fuck up.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it woke me up.
Which is good.
I'm woke now. I'm awake.
Yeah.
I love it.
Shout out to Andre Benson for the $5 super chat. Tolino Channel following up with 40 rupees. He says WWE put Oba in a Xerox machine, created Keanu Carver. Keanu Carver, obviously, on WWE Evolve, which is taking place tonight at 8 p.m. head to head with AEW Dynamite. Keanu Carver, I don't know what a Xerox machine is, but I'm assuming Tolino Channel is talking about their similarities in look.
Yes, having that similar build and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, listen, dude, this is great for WWE. You have multiple talents, all with different looks, and some people have similar looks, I guess. But I think character work matters, and Keanu Carver was really, really impressive and involved. So I look forward to seeing what happens there. But I like this, man. I like that WWE just has such a wide range of talent right now. I think everybody kind of offers something unique, and I know I'm going to get flack for this because why are you talking about AEW? But I think a lot of people in AEW kind of do the same thing, and I think WWE has really positioned themselves where talents do come across differently, even if they might have similar hairstyles or similar builds or whatever. But I think character work matters, and I think movesets matter, and differentiating your movesets. I think if every single wrestler on your show can do a Canadian Destroyer, you know, it's a cool move.
But it's not so special.
But it's not so special, yeah. So that's kind of like the thing.
I'd agree there.
Yeah. Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Guys, get those super chats in, and we'll continue to respond to them. I know there was another one from, I believe, Brian McCaddy, $2. He says, do you see Page on main roster or NXT lifer? If you're speaking of Ethan Page, I think Ethan Page is 100% going to be a main roster guy, and he's going to be a wonderful U.S. champion or intercontinental champion. WWE, I just want to make this quick point, Billy, and I'll let you respond. You can tell me if you agree or disagree. But I think WWE has done a really, really good job of identifying, okay, do you have charisma? Do you have a persona? Do you have mic skills? You do? Okay, that immediately moves you to the front of the line versus somebody who's only good at wrestling. But then when you're a guy who is a good talker, you got charisma, you got great character, I think WWE has done a really good job of being able to say, hey, you could also wrestle even better. So that's why you see guys like Braun Breaker and Ludwig and Pete Dunne and Sheamus going after like the US championship, right? So or the Intercontinental Championship, excuse me. So obviously, like, that is one thing to keep in mind. Like, there is a lot of benefit to watching guys like Ethan Page get that opportunity, because you know that WWE, they kind of fit WWE's vision.
For sure. I would agree there.
Shout out to Brian McCaddy for the super chat. I appreciate you, man. And by the way, that did pop up. You guys are so quick in the chat today. I really do appreciate that.
It is moving, bro.
Yeah. So thank you, Brian McCaddy, for that super chat. And guys, if you want to get more super chats in, whatever questions you may have, it doesn't have to be NXT related. It could be WWE, AEW, TNA. It could be wrestling, whatever you guys want. I know in the chat somebody asked, what is the Ango Club? So the Ango Club is this, it's a very pristine group of people. It's the most elite of the elite. No, I'm kidding. Basically what it is this. We have YouTube memberships. So for those who are wondering, it's another way to support the channel. Basically you get badges and emotes and all that good stuff in the chat. For example, when we talked about Ricochet, we threw in the toilet paper emote, and we have Ango 316 and Fire and Hype and all these different ones.
Leave Ricochet alone.
No. But what's really cool is that you have the opportunity. It starts at $1.99 a month. You get a whole bunch of perks. And then also, just so you're aware, you look at the toilet paper. Oh, yeah, buddy.
Right.
But basically, it's a way to support the channel. I know sometimes people don't like sending super chats or whatever it may be. So what that ends up being is another way to do so. And then there is a higher tier where you can support a little bit more, and that gives you VIP access in Discord. I have fully admitted that Discord needs to be shaken up a little bit. We have like several hundred members in the Discord, but I will be changing some things about it. Really less moderation in a way, but not less moderation. It's just a little bit less strict. Because obviously there's
more of a hangout.
Yeah, it's more of a hangout thing. I think the problem is there's so many people, and I can't verify people's actual age, but pro wrestling does have a younger audience and an older audience. So for me, one thing that I want to do is like protect the trolls from going into Discord and stuff. And kind of keeping it moderated to that extent to make sure it's a safe place for people to hang out. But obviously there is that aspect of it where you got to be a little bit more lenient. So I am making changes to the Discord. VIP access to that is included in the higher tier, and then hopefully that helps. And obviously the Discord's always a fun place because we have a lot of great people in our community. So shout out to everybody who does support, for sure.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Definitely, you should sign up. You can get the toilet paper thrown at you like it was thrown at me. So that's nice. A bunch of the people in the chat threw toilet paper at me and said that my take was boo boo. So you can have that. You know, why not?
That's the thing. Like, I think it's funny. Like when it comes to people telling me I have a shitty take. Bro, spend $1.99 a month and fucking throw the toilet paper in my face. I don't know what to tell you.
Nice.
Throw some toilet paper. You don't like
throw some toilet paper, man. If you don't like it, throw it.
I got a lot of love on the Seth Rollins take yesterday, by the way.
I on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see, or X, excuse me. Yeah. I seen it for like a minute, but I didn't see like the actual numbers. How did they do?
Yeah, it did pretty well. I got a lot of people DMing me too. They're like, honestly, bro, I think this is gonna happen.
I told you that's not a bad idea. Dude, you seen my face on the stream.
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah. Bill coming through with a $9.99. He says Ethan has always been very good in ring, but he really wants to be able to show good abilities. Not only that, but he's a very underrated promo. And when you have that combination, it's scary. And honestly, here's the thing about Ethan Page. When you watch TNA and you see Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, you're like, okay, you know this guy is going to be relatively good, right?
Yeah.
You can see it. Then it's really cool when you turn on AEW and you see Ethan Page and you're like, okay, hopefully he gets a shot. Then he cuts his promo in his hometown or whatever, and then, wait, what? Why aren't they doing anything with him after that? Like, that was an amazing promo. Then it becomes a thing where it's like he's doing ROH. It's like, what? Like, you have something really good in front of you. And then it's like WWE brings him in and then immediately hotshots him to the world title. Okay, cool. But now what can you do to make him interesting even after losing the world title? So not only did they hotshot him, but they kept him. They did such a good job with him. Yeah.
They kept him relevant.
They kept him relevant, and it's obviously he's going to the main roster. And that match with Javon Evans was sick. And one thing we haven't talked about yet, but it's got to be talked about, right? So we have this new faction. They showed up and they beat up Javon Evans after the match, which is very, very cool because now, and I know, Phil, I saw your tweet, buddy. I saw your tweet. So let's just address that tweet. What's the purpose? What's the vision, right? These were questions that we were talking about last week live. I like the group, but we need to get down to the purpose. Well, anybody who knows Deadlock Pro Wrestling knows that Javon Evans, aka Jay Malachi, versus Lucky Ali, aka Saquon Sugars, had a fucking banger in Deadlock. So now they went after Javon Evans. Okay, cool. I think we have the match made. I think Saquon Sugars versus Javon Evans at NXT Stand and Deliver. Buddy, the build starts now. It starts now. And I think next week they have to have a follow-up with it. Yeah. And Javon should have a segment calling them out or whatever. But I was really impressed with it because I just love this group. I know people are like, oh, it's too much like the Shield. It's too much like Retribution. I don't give a shit, bro.
Even that's a stretch, though. You know, it does feel a little bit different. It feels a little bit darker.
I just like this shit, bro. I like this shit. I like the Death Rider shit. The problem is how you follow up with this shit. That's it.
Right.
Retribution was cool when it started. A lot of people hated it. I liked it, but it was their follow-up that fucking sucked.
People shitted on that because they wanted to. They just didn't like how Vince booked.
Yeah, but then look at Death Riders. It started off cool and started off hot, and then it died. So the thing is, I really hope that group does well. But I just want to address that too. I know that had nothing to do with Phil's super chat, but it was sick. I mean, Ethan Page and Javon Evans was a great match. There was a lot of great spots. The table spot, the chair spot. I mean, there was a lot of great moments. Javon Evans was absolutely killing it. And then not only was Javon Evans absolutely killing it, but he killed it because his dance partner was killing it. His dance partner led the dance to the point where when Javon Evans wins, it's like, okay, this is some really, really good stuff. And that's the goal here, right? If you're Ethan Page, your time in NXT is limited. It is very clear he's going up to the main roster. We know there's fresh talent getting moved up. So what's really cool about Ethan Page, you know, even in this particular situation, is you don't look bad. You're not buried, and
No.
that's the cool thing about it.
Because here's the thing, you follow it up next week or whenever you bring him back, however you do it, and you just have him come out, you let him talk there for a minute. Ethan Page will be able to put that over and be able to kind of talk himself out of it and be like, yeah, I'm still a shit though. You know what I mean? I know that's like a really watered down way of him saying it, but that's just me saying it.
Yeah,
But I do think you don't bury Ethan Page here. This guy, he's a star, man. He's gonna do great things. I think in WWE very very soon. As if he's already not doing great.
I agree 100%. Shout out to Phil for the super chat. Justin Kennington dropping $1.99. He says, I want Oba on the main roster to feud with Jacob Fatu. Dude, I want Oba versus Braun. I want Oba versus Braun Breaker. I want Oba versus Bronson Reed. I want Oba versus Jacob Fatu. I want Oba. Listen, for those who are so concerned and worried about Brock Lesnar, fuck that. You got your new Brock Lesnar. You got your new beast. You got your new guy. You got your guy that's going to go out there and kill it. And you know, the thing is, Oba Femi is, you know, and I do want Oba Femi versus Omos too, because that's just going to be insane. But I want these matches. And the reason why I want these matches is because Oba Femi is like, this might give me some heat, bro, but he got more charisma than Brock Lesnar.
Hell yeah.
He got way more charisma than Brock Lesnar. So, like, if you wanted a match between Brock and somebody, dude, you have that with Oba Femi. And I knew Oba Femi was going to be a star. I just didn't think he was going to be, like, I knew he was going to be a star. I didn't think he would get as over as he has. And I didn't think WWE would recognize it the way I did initially.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at the guy and tell he was a star. I'll be very, very honest. I actually was not a believer in Oba Femi. I really wasn't. I thought it was another big man coming into the company, and it was going to be strictly that. They have done a great job booking him, and I think the transition from Shawn Michaels to Triple H will be a big factor in that. I think Triple H will do just fine with Oba Femi.
Yeah, 100%. And again, you don't need Brock Lesnar now, right? So. Yeah, I'm down with it. Shout out to Justin Kate for the super chat. Lino Channel coming through with another 40 rupees. He says Miro and CJ reconciled. WWE return for both. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. They didn't get divorced, but they separated, and now they renewed their vows, I think, and they're back together. I don't really care about the personal life of pro wrestlers to talk about their marriages and stuff like that, but obviously with them being reconciled and back together, I do think Rusev Day returns with Lana. And dude, I mean, imagine give me Rusev and Jacob Fatu US Championship feud.
Give it to me. I want it.
Give it to me, bro.
I want it. And I can hear it now. Rusev Day.
Yeah. It's just so sick, bro. It's so cool. I'm so like,
I'm for it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so excited to see what happens. And you know, the thing about them in AEW, I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about it, but you guys know how I felt about Miro. Billy, you've heard how I said it. And it's like the Redeemer, if you could bring the Redeemer to WWE, but you can also utilize the Rusev Day thing. The Redeemer, Rusev, is perfect. And then you bring Rusev Day back. I think you satisfy both people.
Yeah. It's kind of what they did with Ricky Saints, right? They kept Ricky, right? They didn't fully change his name. But they've also differentiated him a little bit and turned them into what they wanted. And I know he did it on his own personal wants, but I think WWE also probably wanted that a little bit too. So I think I definitely think that you get two kind of really cool things out of that. Like you said, the Redeemer and Rusev Day, and you satisfy both crowds.
Yeah.
Love it.
Shout out to Tolino Channel. David Primero coming through with $1.99. He says, I want Ethan Page to win Money in the Bank. It could boost him up. Well, guys, remember what I said about The Rock and Ethan Page. Ethan Page getting called up at WrestleMania to beat up Cody then leads to Ricky Saints coming to Cody's aid eventually. Survivor Series War Games. You know,
Yeah,
John
especially having
Cena,
these two feud and stuff like that.
Seth Rollins, The Rock, and Ethan Page versus Cody and Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Ricky Saints.
Oh, that's so fire.
Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. I
That
don't want to hear no
that's such
bullshit, bro.
that's such a
David, when that happens, Ethan don't need money in the bank, bro. But hey, why would Ethan Page do it? Because Ethan Page was endorsed by The Rock.
right. Right. But Ricky knows he's better than The Rock. He's really good friends with Cody. You see him tweeting about Cody. Obviously his friendship with Punk. Oh, bro, that'll feed families.
Interesting to think about, huh?
For sure. For sure.
Shout out to David Primero for the $1.99. Brian McHattie coming through with $2. He says, is this new group a Shield Aces and Eights hybrid? Brother, this is a hybrid between the Shield, Retribution, Aces and Eights, and every other invasion faction ever.
Angle that you could think of.
Yeah, the thing that I like about it, though, I will tell you, though, the thing that I like about it, but it's just me personally, I've always kind of liked groups like this. The thing that I like about it so much is that it is up and coming guys. These are guys from NIL, LFG. You know, I like that personally. Saquon Sugars, to me, I feel like is coming out as the leader, which is a really cool thing. I know Trey Lusato just said the new mask group isn't helping me. The thing is, we do got to get them to cut a promo or something. We got to see a video package or a vignette.
I must say, Engo, it is very strange of you to prefer up and coming talent over other things. Very, very weird. Sorry, my bad.
No, man. I really want the main event to be a 60-year-old person.
I know you do.
I want a group of all 60-year-olds coming back into an invasion storyline, being like, hey, man, we don't like you new guys. All you do is flippity floppity bullshit.
You don't slap meat. You don't slap meat like we used to.
Yeah. No, man. I think this group is kind of a hybrid of those things. But what's
not
really
60-year-olds?
Yeah. Hey, I don't give a fudge what anybody says. Aces and Eights was sick. I love
Aces and Eights was sick.
I loved Aces and Eights. I remember covering that shit. This is why Twitter and wrestling is so funny and YouTube. When I covered Aces and Eights, everybody hated it. The IWC hated it. I loved it. When Brooke Hogan and Hulk Hogan are outside of the cage and Bully was like, I used you. That was good times. That was good times. I really liked those times.
Yeah.
So that was fun time. Fun time. But yeah,
fun
that was
stuff, baby.
Yeah, it's gonna go well. I think the group is gonna go well. I think for the group specifically to succeed, though, we got to understand. We got to see what happens with their vision and how they build a storyline. But
for sure,
Saquon Sugars versus Siobhan Evans at Stand and Deliver will be everybody's. It's gonna be your big time match. It's gonna be the thing that like, oh, holy shit, like.
Right.
That's what happens when you can tell a story, a good story between two really good performers.
Facts.
Shout out to Brian McHattie for the super chat. I just wanted to throw up this chat from Dwayne Cook. He says, if I join the Angle Club, do I get free pizza? Buddy, no.
Dude, we're not having a pizza party?
We're not having a pizza party, unfortunately.
Damn.
I know. I apologize.
Pizza party.
I apologize greatly.
Maybe with all these super chats, Angle will buy me some pizza.
No.
That's crazy.
I get you pizza rolls. No, okay. Oh, shout out to Mike in the chat. Mike, oh my God. If you join the Discord, I have shared pizza recipes. This is actually true. That's how cool our Discord is, though.
Well, Mike, that's not helping me. I need the pizza. I don't want to make it.
Make your own pizza, buddy. Homemade pizza is great.
It is, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Felino Channel coming through with a super chat for 40 rupees. If Leon Slater goes to NXT, who will challenge him? Oh my God. If I don't think he's going to sign with NXT because he is signed to TNA. But the fact that we haven't got Leon Slater versus Siobhan Evans, whether it's in TNA or WWE,
they're going to give it to us at some point.
Like, how do you not?
Right. WWE would be foolish not to give us that match. Those two, when you talk about similarities and just their styles of wrestling, so similar. So similar.
It's got to happen. Leon Slater is a beast. I feel like TNA needs to do more with him too. He should beat Moose for the X Division Championship, and let's get that shit back on track. But what a beast! Give me him and Javon Evans at some point, please, 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 please. I'd be very, very happy.
Need it.
All right, thank you, Tolino Channel, for the super chat, guys. I'm gonna go to my main camera and address something because this is a very big topic. This might be a hot take, but
Let me know when you're back.
Trevon Womack had put a chat in the chat. This is not a super chat, but I'm going to address this because this is a hot take, and I just want everybody to know where I stand with this because this is probably the most important take I'll ever give you. He says pineapples on pizza, Ango. Absolutely. Absolutely. How do you not get a ham and cheese pizza with onions and pineapple? It is so good. Very, very delicious. Very, very delicious. Pineapple belongs on pizza. Okay. All right. Pineapple.
Hope you're not talking to me.
Oh, I'm talking to everybody. Pineapple belongs on pizza. And if you guys don't like that, that's your problem. You guys are mad. The chat's mad. Ango, you were perfect. Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, pineapple belongs on pizza, man. I don't know why everybody hates it. But you know what's crazy? I go to Chicago this weekend. I've gone to New York several times. I've gone to Chicago. You know what doesn't belong on pizza? What? Chicago pizza in general doesn't belong. Like, it's terrible. I need to go find a place that makes like regular pizza. Yeah. I don't want no big deep dish. That fucking thing is like a brick. It's like this big. It's like huge. It's massive. And nobody wants to eat that shit. I like thin crust. I like pineapple, ham, onions, cheese. Boom. Beautiful.
I must say, pineapple on pizza. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel really rubbed wrong about you on that take.
Sorry, bud.
I really do. I really do.
You
were perfect.
I got toilet paper thrown at me, so.
Yeah, everybody throw more toilet paper. That take was shit.
That's crazy, bro.
Oh my god, that's your worst take ever.
When I got to New York, I'm asking for the.
I hope Twitter blows you up for this shit too.
Dude, it's the thing that everybody wants to know.
Yeah, I hope Twitter blows you up. That shit is foul.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. It's just the way it is. Pineapples belong on pizza. I don't know why people are so against it. What doesn't really belong on pizza? Anchovies.
Anchovies for sure. Anchovies should never be near a pizza.
That doesn't
but
belong on pizza.
For some odd reason. What? What doesn't?
Anchovies, it doesn't belong on pizza.
Yeah, yeah. I think jalapenos belong on pizza.
I agree. Anything with pepper, any peppers on pizza.
Yeah, I like jalapenos.
All right, okay. This is where we get off topic, but that's why the Angle Show is so freaking awesome. This is why we have literally the best talk show because literally we can talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about, right? So Billy, let me ask you then, what is your take on crust? What flavored crust is the best?
Garlic butter.
Ooh, ill.
What?
No, I'm kidding. Garlic butter is good.
Oh, I was about to say, hold on.
But I love the Cajun shit.
Cajun's fire.
Okay, in Michigan we have Jets pizza. You have Jets.
Yeah, I got Jets.
So like the thing is with Jets, right? They have the Cajun, but it's like spicy, right? And then and then they have, I don't know how to explain it. Like it's just so freaking good, bro. I think people don't give Detroit pizza enough credit. I think Detroit's got some of the best pizza.
I watched a video of many years ago, and keep in mind, I thought I'd tell the world I worked at Jets Pizza for a short span of time, and it was amazing. I love Jets. Detroit style deep dish is the best deep dish that there is, hands down. People talk about Chicago, it is trash. It is trash.
So
but I seen an interview of CM Punk, and he was like, "Yeah, Detroit style is the worst style of pizza. You are out of your fucking mind."
So the thing is, a lot of people don't know. I haven't eaten pizza in a long time. Actually, it's been a minute. So from where my family originates from, right? Being Albanian and Montenegro, it's a country for those who don't know. The way they make pizza is very different, right? Like they don't use regular like marinara sauce or whatever. They use like ketchup, but ketchup over there is different than how we have ketchup in America. So I haven't tried it because obviously I haven't been. I was supposed to go last year. I couldn't go. Maybe this year I'll end up going, possibly. I don't know. But in Chicago, we were talking, me and my friends, we're going on this trip, and we were talking about Chicago pizza, and they've never been to Chicago. And I told them, if you really, really want to try it, absolutely, let's try it. But I did warn them. I said, Chicago pizza sucks, right? I said, I think Chicago pizza is the worst pizza there is. However, there is a place that some Albanians own, and they came obviously from overseas. They came to America, and they live here, and they have businesses in Chicago, and they make the same style pizza as they do in Montenegro and in Albania, and basically all throughout the Balkan regions. So that same style of pizza is what they've made over in Chicago. So when I told them that, they're like super excited because obviously they've been and they've had it. So now, as much as I don't care for Chicago pizza, I do care to go check out this place because I'll get a little taste of back home, even though I haven't been back home, if that makes sense.
That's very fair.
And you know what they don't do? They don't put anchovies on pizza.
Do they put pineapple on pizza?
I don't know. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna ask.
Get them the hell out of here.
So here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll do. Obviously, you know, I have these new little microphones thanks to the recommendation of Billy, and it's really cool for vlogging and like making TikToks and shit. I think if you guys aren't following me on Instagram or TikTok, you guys won't know, but I will probably make some TikToks of me eating some pizza. And if they have pineapples on pizza, I'm going to ask for some freaking pineapples on pizza. And you know what?
This guy is disgusting.
If you guys throw more toilet paper in the chat, I don't care. It's not a big deal. The thing is, I no longer drink soda. I no longer eat fast food. I no longer eat like shit, but I am absolutely going to eat a pizza in Chicago because I'm going to Chicago. I'm just not eating that Chicago shit pizza. And if CM Punk said that Detroit pizza is the worst pizza, then fuck CM Punk. No, I'm kidding.
Hey.
I know.
Hey.
I know.
Hey.
I know.
Hey. No. No. But pineapple on pizza, trash. Leave it there.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. Shout out to you guys. That was so funny. Tolino Channel dropping a super chat. Do you think Abyss will return as a wrestler? No.
No.
Nah, he's done wrestling.
Yeah. He's doing cool stuff backstage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of good stuff backstage. So that's just how it's going to be. But he is in WWE 2K25, so make sure you get him.
He's part of a DLC pack. Yep.
That'd be really cool. Eventually, if I could get WWE 2K25, I don't know what the hell's going on with that, but if
I'll get it. I'll get it one day. It sucks. I'm not a gamer. I'm really not. As much as I want to sit here and say I am, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I prop everybody who does play it. I just don't have the time.
I'm trying to find time. It's hard. I'm a very busy guy.
Me too. I have my Nintendo Switch and I play Pokemon, and I'm like, man, I want to sit down and play Pokemon. Can never find the time. I'm editing. I'm putting shorts together, doing something.
Yeah. So yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Diego Vargas put in the chat. He says, with all due respect, are we going to talk about wrestling or not? Diego, thank you so much for pulling up to the stream, and I greatly appreciate that. One thing that is different about our talk show is that I think when we talk about wrestling or talk about anything for that matter, it's going to trickle down to some other conversations. It's just the way it is, you know, it's just the way. I think that's what makes us different. I think a lot of people just want to talk wrestling and talk about the moves and talk about the stories, and that's fun. And we're going to do that from time to time, but we are also human and we'd like to engage with our chat. And I think one of the things that's really cool about our community here is that we all have very similar things, similar interests. And one interest that I found is that, well, most of you don't like pineapples on pizza, but I do. So we were going to talk about that. We just got to address it, man. Sometimes sometimes we just got to get to the stuff that really matters. You know, it's not necessarily about WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver, and it's not about AEW versus WWE. Sometimes it's about your favorite pizza toppings, and you know, that's just the way it is.
I'll tell you like this: we spent about 15 minutes, maybe not even, maybe 10, talking about pineapple on pizza. If you go watch the rest of the stream, you'll hear us talk about wrestling because we talked about it a lot.
Yes,
a lot. So there you go.
Exactly. And unless anybody has any other super chats to drop, if anybody has any other questions or anything else they want to talk about, feel free to drop those. We'll give it a few minutes. There's only two more things I really want to talk about before we end the show.
Yeah.
First thing, though, I did want to talk to you about, Billy, was obviously when you look at NXT last night and then that was Roadblock. What is like the one thing like you would change? Like, I know it's NXT again. We've kind of talked about like the main event scene for the men. I feel like they're rebounding on that. Is there anything you would change about NXT right now? Like from your viewing experience, whether it's booking or people getting pushed or not getting pushed or anything? Like what are you thinking?
So that's really hard to say, right? Because we're in this period of time right now. It's kind of hard for me to answer that because I don't know what it would look like if they did do something or didn't. But I do think like overall, I think NXT is just in a really comfy place, man. If I'm being quite honest, I don't know if right now I would change anything just because, we talked about the men's division months ago where we said, oh yeah, maybe they need to do something with the men's division and change that. And it looks like they're on the up and up with that men's division. Obviously, what happens between Moose and Obafemi, I don't know how they move Obafemi. So I guess if there was anything I would change, it would be giving me a contender inside of the WWE umbrella for Obafemi rather than a TNA star. That's about it. But I did love the thing that they did with Moose. But that would be like the only thing.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is when you look at Fraxium versus the Hardys, great tag team match and stuff. The only thing I would say is when doing this partnership with TNA, like this is literally the one thing I would change about NXT. When you do this partnership with TNA and you have people coming out representing TNA and then obviously you have people representing WWE, what I would like to see is that some of these feuds carry over without the title being on the line. So
For sure.
So we've seen like the JDC versus Lexus King Heritage Cup. We saw Moose versus Oba with the championship, world championship. And then obviously we saw Fraxium and the Hardys with the tag titles. So that would be the only thing I would say is like there's quite a few people in TNA and NXT not being utilized. Maybe find a story that you can do there. And I'm very keen on that. And then the second thing I want to talk about before we end the stream, Billy, tonight it's AEW Dynamite versus WWE Evolve. Just kind of wanted to get your feedback on what you might be watching tonight. And
you know what I'm watching.
No, I don't. That's why I'm asking you.
AEW. You know who I'm watching.
Okay.
I'm gonna be live tonight. If anybody wants to pull up to my live stream, I'll be solo dolo by myself, hanging out, talking AEW Dynamite, talking about the Fallout of Revolution. Come pull up to my live stream tonight, 10:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come hang out, Billy TKO over on YouTube. Come subscribe to me, baby.
Perfect. Shout out to Billy. Shout out to Don Janae for subscribing to the channel. Venom Gamer 09 for subscribing. Austin John, Ardash K, Jonathan Shortall, Mike the G200, Tony Recca. Thank you all for subscribing. The Die Hard Football Podcast, Cat Killzone, TJS 1999, George Wyatt, Paris, Thomas Hoffman, Gabriella Valentine, Big Nuke, and EJ3 Finest for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. Got some new subscribers during the stream today, so I want to shout them out. I know Phil and everybody in the chat is talking about the wild card. Guys, moments after this live stream concludes, you will hear my thoughts on the wild card AEW tease. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show, March 12th, 2025. Thank you all for subscribing, for watching, liking, being on TikTok. And all that good stuff. And shout out to Jonathan Lazarga because he just came clutch with a buzzer beater, $4.99. Do you think someone from NXT will win a TNA championship or vice versa? Yes. That's easy. I think Cora Jade could very well win against Masha Slamovich.
You can make an argument that the Hardys could win the NXT titles.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do. And what I will say is, maybe right now the answer would be no. But I do think there will come to a point where we will see an NXT guy win a TNA title and vice versa. I think really, and if they were smart, put that X Division belt on Leon Slater, and then Javon Evans could beat him, and then Leon Slater could win it back, that kind of thing. But of course,
feud there.
I think they will do it. They found a way. I think they found a way to do this partnership correctly between both TV shows. And now that TNA is also going live like once or twice a month, that also helps too. So I do think it is possible. Do I think it happens right now? No, but I do think at some point it will happen.
For sure.
Shout out to Jonathan for the super chat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, people in the chat are still talking about pineapples on pizza. That's crazy.
I know. I'm seeing it.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Shout out to everybody who watched, tuned in, super chatted, liked, commented, became a member, subscribed, yada, yada, yada. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about Evolve and Dynamite. And also make sure you guys subscribe to Billy at Billy TKO. He's dropping some content every day. So make sure you guys don't miss that. Diego Vargas, I just read your message. Thank you for your content. I apologize if I came across as annoying. That was never my intention. No, Diego, you are completely fine, bro. That's why I wasn't mad. It's just the way we do our show. And actually, let's kind of end it on this note really quick. Guys, the thing that makes the Ango show really fun to do is the fact that we do engage with you guys. You guys help drive the conversations further. So we do sometimes get off topic. Sometimes we talk about random things. There's been times where me and Billy had started off when the Lions got eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh God, yeah.
Like sometimes you get some random stuff, but the purpose of that is because that's what's going to make us more human to you. At the end of the day, a lot of content creators, and this will never be me, but a lot of content creators on YouTube have a persona. A lot of content creators have this gimmick, this thing. No, really what this is we love professional wrestling and we love things outside of professional wrestling. Our show is a professional wrestling talk show, but we love our community. And that's why we sometimes talk about random stuff, because we enjoy engaging with you guys. So the thing is, it's not about, I would never want my live stream to have 10,000 viewers, but then only 50 people in the chat, right? If we have 200-300 viewers and you guys are all going off in the chat and it leads to a great conversation, that's more fun. And that allows us to remain, human. And that's the way it's got to be. So Diego, definitely not an issue, bro. Don't even apologize. I wasn't taking it as you being offended. And like you said, it was respectful. So definitely not an issue. So yeah. And I guess we can end it on that note. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Ango Show.
Peace.